Arsenal versus Man City preview, biggest game of the weekend. It's a huge opportunity for Arsenal to put maximum pressure on Liverpool. It's a far-fetched dream for Arsenal fans to be winning the Premier League title, in my opinion. Obviously, Liverpool have that game in hand. The goal difference is plus 10 on Arsenal. So it's a big game for them to put pressure on. I'm not saying it's enough to surmount Liverpool, of course not. But this is the kind of game that a couple of seasons ago was crucial, was a big three-pointer literally in a Premier League title race where the margin of error between Man City and Arsenal winning the title was less than 3 points. Obviously, the last season, the season before, it was so close. And I think this fixture actually represents a little bit of frustration from both sides. Look how far off City have dropped. It's been absolutely shocking, City's form this season. And Arsenal really will be kicking themselves that a game against a weak Man City side isn't leading them towards the closest they've been towards the Premier League title in 21, 22 years, as opposed to it being a game where they just want to get confidence for next season. That'll be frustration for Arsenal. They've been decent the last few weeks. I think the Wolves result was decent. A 1-0 win away from home. The defence still tight, keeping clean sheets. Obviously, after the disappointment of the Aston Villa draw. The Lewis Skelly red card has been overturned, so I'm glad that's happened because it's an absolute disgrace, that red card. And I think Arsenal fans can get a little bit livid on social media. We're never too sure how much of an injustice it is, because Arsenal fans can be a little bit hyperbolic. That was outrageous, the Skelly red card. So the fact that he's available to play, potentially in the fullback position, could be interesting for Arsenal. Arsenal have got a lot of strength in depth. I think someone like Ethan Nwaneri might not necessarily be starting this game. Like I'm just going to say, I'm on my channel, I'm going to say what I want to say about it. I think you have to start Ethan Nwaneri and Odegaard in this game. I think City are there for the taking. I think you could play Ethan Nwaneri on the right wing. He scored an unbelievable goal against Girona. And Ethan Nwaneri is scoring a goal every 99 minutes when he plays for Arsenal. He's 17 years old. He's got his whole life in front of him. Arguably, he shouldn't be at this level until he's 21, 22. He's so good. His first touch is so sharp. The way he turns out of danger. You could play him right wing and Odegaard in that midfield and have an extra element of control versus one of those wingers that Arsenal have that, you know, they're okay wingers. Martinelli's not been bad in the last few weeks, particularly playing off the right hand side in Saka's injury. But you do feel that actually Ethan Nwaneri could give you a lot more control. For Arsenal to win this game, it has to be a little bit more control. If they look at the Chelsea result, Chelsea had big opportunities to win the game. Cole Palmer didn't really get on the ball. They didn't dictate possession. With Arsenal being at home, there is an argument Ethan Nwaneri plays this game and you kind of overload with those kind of midfielders that tuck in. It's a little bit like De Bruyne playing in midfield for City with Bernardo on the right wing or Foden on the right wing coming in. I think Arsenal could do that and be a little bit more controlling of possession. If Arsenal can keep the ball and be smart, I think they will, of course. They've got, you know, good form going into this game. Not Premier League title winning form. They're not blistering hot, but they've been decent. They have been, and their Champions League run's been good as well. No drama there. A tight defensive unit in the Champions League this season. I think all Arsenal have to do is keep the ball and they'll put maximum pressure on City. Obviously, they won the game last season 1-0. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that Arsenal just dictate the game from start to finish. And it all plays into Man City's kind of weaknesses, where if City aren't on the ball, any passing ball between the lines, between midfield, into that space just in front of the defence, anything on the overlap. I mean, the fullback situation with Matheus Nunes is an absolute shambles. Kyle Walker's gone out the door. And you think, could Kyle Walker, if you just let him have a couple of weeks of rest from now until the end of the season, was it worth £4 million from AC Milan on loan? Because I think Arsenal, whoever plays on the left, if it's Martinelli, if it's Trossard, they're going to have this pace, this energy still, and they've shown that in the last few weeks without Saka. Even Sterling, if Sterling gets minutes, because I thought he was decent midweek, he's not going to start the game. But I think this City side has got so many defensive frailties that Arsenal, all they have to do is keep the ball. And that's why I would be inclined to start someone like Ethan Nwaneri, just to overload the kind of control aspect of the game for Arsenal. Be pragmatic. Don't let Mamouche into the game. And have more of the ball, put more pressure on the City backline, particularly if Kushanov starts this game as well, which I think would be a massive mistake. We're going to break down Man City's 11 for this game that I think I'd like to see start. Let me know what you think in the comments down below so far. But obviously Ederson in goal. The backline is basically the decision maker. I think there's an argument he could go to a back three if you want to. If you have to play Kushanov because of injuries to Ruben Diaz. I'm not entirely sure if Ruben Diaz is fully fit to play. It might be another week or so until he's back, or a couple of weeks. There is an argument you could place. You could literally have Victor Reis, Akanji, Kujanov, Stones, 3 of the 4 with Gvardiol, and you could have a kind of back 5 situation if you play Rico Lewis in there as well. It's unlikely, but there is an argument because Arsenal away it just looks so difficult defensively. It really does. I think playing a back four with Kushnerov would be a big mistake. I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to look something closer to... I think Rico Lewis has to come in for Matheus Nunes. Matheus Nunes, okay against Chelsea. Poor midweek, I thought, in the Champions League. He's not bad. It's not about his application. He's trying hard. He's just not... He's not at the Man City level. He really isn't. And I think Rico Lewis comes in. Man City's attempts to keep the ball at Arsenal has to be better than even the amount of times Chelsea had possession in the City game. If Arsenal have 55-60% possession, it's going to be a lot of pain for the City side. So Rico Lewis coming in, he's not that bad defensively. He's not a world-class defender. I don't think he ever will be in terms of his off-the-ball physical presence. But bring Rico Lewis into this back line. Akanji, Stones, that's a little bit more settled with Guardiola, who's having an absolutely outstanding season. He really is, despite how bad. He had a bad month. He was giving the ball away, led to big mistakes. He's come back and he's scoring big goals. He's creating big chances. He's absolutely fantastic. He's the big opportunity to get around the Arsenal back line that can be a little bit stiff, obviously centre back heavy, a little bit non-dynamic potentially. I think that overlap that Guardiola is trying to do with the fullbacks, it did work against Chelsea. It's a big question if it will work against Arsenal, of course. The midfield situation is as bad as the defensive one, really, because if you play Kovacic, Bernardo and İlkay Gundogan in this game, Arsenal are going to absolutely crush City, and that's just the truth. It's too flat, it's too slow, it's too pedestrian. I think something has to come out there. And for me, it's İlkay Gundogan. I think you play Bernardo Silva and Kovacic. It's not an ideal midfield. I'm still not a massive fan of Kovacic, to be completely honest with you. He scored a fantastic goal to save Man City's Champions League season, of course, but I just think there's a flatness to his defensive performance. He can let players run past him a little bit. Not always his fault. I don't see him as a defensive midfielder. He isn't Kante. He's not Rodri. He's not Fernandinho. He's probably deserving to be playing a little bit more further forward based on his skill sets. But Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, and then I think you have to take out De Bruyne. I know it's crazy, but Mamouche, defensively, his work rate off of it, play him in the lone 10, in my opinion. Obviously, he looked fantastic against Chelsea, but I'm just talking about his sheer work rate. I think De Bruyne comes on for 20 minutes. Obviously, he played against Bruges, so you're thinking, can he play 2 games in 4 days? I'm not entirely sure. Mamouche comes in fresh. He works really hard for 60 minutes. That could be more of a vibe. Then you play Phil Foden on one side. Savinho has to come back into the starting 11. It was a big mistake for Savinho not to be starting against Club Bruges. Came on and really changed the game with Guardiola. If City want to win this game and try and push Arsenal, push Liverpool, get as close to Liverpool as possible, Savinho has to be picking up, getting starts, picking up goals, picking up assists. He's one of the best players City have had this season. And he's still got a lot of room to improve. And obviously, Erling Haaland down the middle. I mean, it's time for a big goal for Erling Haaland, I feel like. Not been bad in the last few weeks, but I think it's the kind of fixture where you could see him scoring. I think Arsenal are going to win the game. I think they're going to control it. I think Partey, Rice, Odegaard, that just looks far too strong. And the big thing about Arsenal is it's not just about how strong they are, because they clearly are, but they all have this pattern of play. They have this routine. They know how to get results. They got it against City last season, didn't lose to Man City last season, and Man City were far better. They know how to get this kind of result now. And basically, it hasn't changed the setup. If not, it's slightly improved in certain areas, maybe except for Saka obviously missing. The defensive unit is still fantastic. Skelly, Ethan Manieri got a little bit more off the bench as well. I think Arsenal are going to control the game. I think they're going to put maximum pressure on City. I think they're going to score early. It's going to be a long day. I think City could score more than good enough. But I think it's going to be 3-1 Arsenal. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll see you very, very soon.